Alright, and we should be live. So, welcome to the live stream, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today we are going to be going over, well, I guess I think it's rather obvious now, this Category 5 monstrosity of a hurricane. That being Hurricane Irma. So, Hurricane Irma is, it's just bad. So, yeah, welcome to the stream, everyone. Like I said, hopefully everyone is doing well. At least that's what I hope. Hopefully everyone's doing just fine. Yeah, so the stream has began. And so, yeah. Here we are just with the storm right now. So, let's get right into this system. So, this system is it's not good. It's obviously headed straight towards Florida and is expected to continue to head for Florida as this time does go on. So as time does go on, we'll expect this to continue to move along, and hopefully we will be able to see this weaken some. Unfortunately, it does not look like this will be weakening too much, especially over the next 72 to 96 hours or so. But hopefully we will be seeing more weakening than I am at least expecting. So if that does happen, if we do see this rapid weakening, that would be awesome. I'll be completely honest with you. That's what I'm hoping for. I'm really hoping that this does weaken down some, because if it doesn't weaken down, well, we're going to very, 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 very suddenly just have a complete catastrophe. I don't know how else to say it, but Irma is just this powerful hurricane. You can see it right here, this Category 5, currently a 185 mile per hour storm. You can see it's going to continue up as a Category 5 hurricane throughout most of its life. So here we are, just continuing to watch Irma as it does head up. So Irma's going to head up here. It's going to head right up here, and it's just going to continue to move along. And it's just really going to be a problem, a huge problem indeed for this, for just overall for everyone, because Irma is just going to cause a problem. Irma is honestly just a huge problem right now, and it's not looking like it's going to be stopping anytime soon, unfortunately. So I guess the main thing just to say is hopefully everyone does stay safe, and hopefully everyone does just not get hurt. Hopefully everyone is heeding the warnings that have been going out regarding Hurricane Irma. So yeah, Hurricane Irma is just looking like a bad storm, and now I'm gonna go into a little bit more depth with it. So just hang with me here. Let's get started. So Hurricane Irma is pretty bad. So let's just get started right now. So if we take a look at Hurricane Irma. Let's just go straight into the particulars with it. Let's just go straight into it. So first of all, I'll get the forecast track and everything out of the way for you, so we can just see Irma in all of its glory. Look at this. Look at this system. This is crazy. You don't see this every day, folks. This is a nuts storm that has great intensity. You could see it's nearly completely symmetrical, and recon flights are showing very strong wind speeds with this system. I mean, with this system, we're seeing winds of over Category 4 intensity on the southwestern portion of this eye wall, and that's not good. You don't want to see that, because that means that this hurricane is so intense that you're seeing very intense winds throughout the entire eye wall. And in that case, this not storm, it's just not gonna, it's just not good. We're gonna continue to watch this storm, though, as it does evolve and as it does continue to develop. So the main premise with this is that Irma is a bad storm. You should heed warnings as soon as possible, because this system is just not good. You can see that eye wall there, and you can just see that this is just a terrible system. Just a terrible system. And when I say it's a terrible system, I don't mean it's a terrible system as in, oh no, this storm is it looks terrible, its structure is terrible. That's not what I mean by this. What I mean by this is a terrible system is that it's just terrible to look at because of just how powerful it is. So here, you probably just saw my Epic Pen program there, but let's just kind of break this down a little bit for you. So there's obviously the eye. You can see the eye. You can see here the probably where the major hurricane force winds are. You can see the overall very strong wind field, and you can see here the Leeward Islands really starting to get hit by this. So now that we're really starting to see those Leeward Islands getting struck by this hurricane, it's just not looking good for the storm itself. Hopefully, though, the Leeward Islands are going to make it through this thing just fine, as it does move up the storm, well, up the coast. Let's just take a look at the other tropical invest while we're at it. You can see here this is likely to become a tropical storm very, very shortly, very, very shortly, to the point that well, it's not even funny. This storm is gonna start really smashing Houston, and this place is already hard hit by Harvey with rain again. This is just sad. I mean, look at this. You can see it. It's just sad. It's very unfortunate, and it's frustrating because they just got hit, and look at what's probably going to be coming right back into them. Now, hopefully, the storm's development area is just right here, and it may head into here, but it's still going to cause impacts. I may even be tempted to call it a tropical storm very shortly. There's Irma, and then here's Tropical Storm Jose. Tropical Storm Jose is looking like a very healthy system, trailing behind Irma, and models are making me look worried. We already have Irma here, which is headed up, but now we're starting to see a little bit of Jose as well, potentially getting hit by this system. Just because of how this system works and just how the system functions. So there's Irma again, and then you can see Jose down to its south, and that's likely to follow in Irma's tracks, and that's just not good because Irma is already going to be devastating these areas, and Jose is already expected, by me at least, to become a Category 4 hurricane, which is very aggressive this far out. And Irma, I've been telling people it's going to be a Category 5. There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it at all. There's literally zero doubt about it. I have no doubts that it would be a Category 5. But people were listening to the Hurricane Center, and it's frustrating because that's who you should be listening to, but they're not getting these forecasts right anymore. They're just not. You're not seeing the same thing out of the Hurricane Center that you used to be able to rely on, because these hurricanes are intensifying so much more and so much faster, and they're getting so much harder to forecast. And I mean, Irma's very dangerous. So I guess now let's just continue along and let me tell you a little bit about this system. It's a very powerful storm. It's got what we call annular characteristics, meaning that it is it's becoming perfectly symmetric. But this system is, I think, the best looking system I've ever seen in the Atlantic. I think it's better looking than Katrina was when it was in the Atlantic, when it was right around here. This looks better than Katrina, and it should, because it is more intense than Katrina ever was. Which is very unfortunate because it is going to hit these land areas directly here. as it does head up. So hopefully it doesn't cause too much damage, but the odds of that are getting lower and lower and lower. So just hopefully everyone is staying safe, everyone is staying prepared, because this system is a very powerful one. If we just I'm really worried about Florida. Florida's gonna probably get hit by this. So if I turn on the forecast models, let's look at the forecast models real quick. Looking at them, it's a general consensus. We can see how Irma's headed up the coast, some further south, even taking it into Cuba and up the Gulf. But most, if not all, these models show a U.S. landfall, with a lot of them showing a landfall in Florida. And that's just a bad thing. We don't want to see a landfall in Florida, especially as intense as you saw me forecasting on my update that you probably did see recently. The NHC is also worried about this. You can see the hurricane watches and warnings here. As this does come up, this means that you're under a watch or a warning if you are within this outline. And it's just unfortunate where we're at right now with Irma, and just what it's going to be causing, the absolute damage and catastrophe that it could be potentially causing. But yeah, a lot of these showing a Florida landfall. You can see on the forecast cone, the cone of uncertainty, Florida is within that cone now. So you can see there, that right there, that's Florida. And Florida is going to continue to be a major concern of Irma's. Irma is going to be a major concern to Florida, I guess is the better way to say. Because by here, we're expecting something with over 130-mile-an-hour winds and gusts beyond Category 5 headed in for Irma. So that's a problem. That's a huge problem. And it's something that I'm just worried about overall. I mean, I'm not digging it. I'm not digging this at all. And then here's some visible satellite for you. You can see the invest. Irma, as soon as Irma moves within here, I can loop this for you on the professional program. But unfortunately, I cannot quite do that yet. But here, I'll just pull up a satellite loop for you so you can see exactly what Irma looks like and what Irma is doing. So if I just can show you, there it is. This is Hurricane Irma. Right now, you can see on the satellite, this is just a crazy storm. It's a system that I wish I never had to be talking about. I wish that I was never ever having to talk about something like this, because this is a problem. This is just something huge, and something that is going to be causing great harm and great issues for the Leeward Islands and for many locations around here. And it's just bad. I mean, you can see just how powerful this storm is just on visible imagery. It's a very strong storm, a very, very, very strong storm. So there it is. There's the storm. It's going to be headed up towards the Leewards, and it's going to strike the Leeward Islands. And then Puerto Rico, definitely going to get this hurricane. Definitely going to get this hurricane. It may go slightly north of it, but we're still going to see this nearly annular tropical cyclone headed up and striking Puerto Rico. So Puerto Rico strike is not entirely out of the question by this hurricane. But here's what I'm hoping. Yeah. It depends on which landmass you're rooting for. If you're rooting for the Leeward Islands, I'm sorry. There's really nothing that we can do at this point. At this point, at least, there's not much that we can do. If you're rooting for the Dominican Republic and Haiti, if you're rooting for Puerto Rico, then you'll want the storm to head up north. You'll want the storm to head northward. You'll want it to be on the most northward track of the NHC cone. If you're rooting for the Dominican Republic and Haiti, same thing, northern part of the NHC cone. If you're rooting that Cuba doesn't get hit, then you want this to make a giant landfall on Haiti and the Dominican Republic. If you want this to not hit Florida, and you want this to go straight down here and just kill itself. But still, it's just, either way, it's not a good situation. I wish I didn't have to talk about any landmass getting hit, because there is going to be a landmass getting a direct hit from this major hurricane. It's just a certainty. It's a direct certainty, in my opinion, that we will be getting a landmass hit from this, especially if it tracks into the Gulf. What I'm really worried about, this is like, well, I'm like worst case scenario, catastrophic catastrophe. This would be like awful, is if this storm went up, went into the Gulf of Mexico and hit Houston. And remember, we already have that storm over here that's expected to hit Houston. At least by me, it could hit Houston. I guess it's not really a given certainty, and it's not even expected. I guess we can expect it to go south. But you can see here, this is expected to develop into a tropical system. And when it does, it'll be a tropical storm. The center will probably be right around here, and it'll be headed in a generally north direction, because there's not too much steering right now in the Gulf. The only thing that's really steering this at all would be this up here. You can see it up here. This is the trough that I was talking about with Irma. You can actually see it now, and that is that low. You can see the low there, and you can see here the trough of Irma. So that trough for Irma is just, it's right there. You can see the high pressure system, and what I'm expecting is still for it to recurve up there. I'm still thinking that it might recurve. I mean, it's not a given certainty, but it's still just a possibility. Alright, so Hyperfire now asking, can the Northeast get hit by this system? Now, I guess I was just talking about that a little bit, but it's not out of the question, but it's very unlikely. It's not looking like the Northeast is going to have any threat at all from Irma. I guess what we can do is I can show you the GFS again if you would like, because there is some brand new information here regarding Hurricane Irma on the GFS. So if I just turn everything off and I get the GFS up here, here we are, I'll get the surface winds. So you can see where Irma is. Now, it doesn't matter what the intensity says on here, it's going to be underestimating the intensity of Irma. It just doesn't really matter what the intensity says here. But here's the future. So here's what the GFS is saying that Irma is going to do. It's saying that Irma is going to go just north of Puerto Rico. You can see there with the tropical storm force wind still hitting it, saying it's going to go north of Haiti, and then you can see it hitting the Bahamas directly, and still going north of Cuba, just barely with the eyeball there, and then you can see it's taking this turn up, and it's taking this turn up, and this is going to cause it to strike Florida. But you can see here the GFS saying that this is going to miss Florida, which would be good for them. And then, once again, that Georgia-Carolina landfall. But it could go up the Northeast. It could go up the Northeast. Oops, I'm sorry. It could go up the Northeast here. It just depends. This could realistically go up the Northeast. It's still going to go up north, I'm pretty sure, a little bit, until it completely dies out. And then here's Jose. Jose, luckily, not looking like it's going to be much of a threat to land, I don't think. Although the GFS has been consistent with this kind of weird this weird eastward direction before it just does head up and out of here, so we won't need to probably worry about Jose that much. But yeah, it does not look like the Northeast will be getting hit by this. That's fortunate for them. Still, though, not out of the question. You're not completely out of the woods, but you're out of the woods enough that I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. Alright, for those new watching, let's talk about the National Hurricane Center official forecast on Hurricane Irma. So I will pull that up right now for you real quick. So there we are. So I'll get the satellite imagery up for you, so we can just see the satellite imagery first, I guess. Here is Irma right now, a massive Category 5 hurricane with winds of 185 miles per hour. Now the system is, as you can see, that Category 5, 183, according to my weather software. And then you can see here, this is the official forecast. There we go. Where you can see they're expecting it to stay as a Category 5. And if I take a look there are the wind speeds. You can see here now they're expecting it to weaken some down to 178. I'm not sure if that's going to be true exactly, but it is a possibility. Then going up 12 hours later, now weakening it down to 173. Still not much, still a Category 5, still dangerous. I'm not even expecting it may weaken that much. You can see those maximum wind gusts up to 213. Right now, you can see that maximum wind. I don't think it's telling us the max wind gusts, but yeah, max wind gusts of 219 and then 213. Then you can see still a Category 5, 167, max gusts of 201. So still a very powerful hurricane, and still a Category 5. Then maintaining that Category 5 intensity that 48 hours out. With winds now of 161 miles per hour and maximum wind gusts of 196 miles per hour. Then you can see it's going to be a Category 4, winds of 155, gusts of 190, and you can see here it's still going to continue to weaken down over these next 5 days. Hyperfire asking again, will the Midwest get any rain? So, funny enough that you asked that, the Midwest did actually get some rain last night. So, we did get some rain last night here out in the Midwest, so that was good for us. We are in a little bit of a dry period, but it's not looking like we're going to be getting much more rain, from this. It's looking like the South and the, East Coast is getting some rain from it, which will not be helpful if Irma does happen to strike there, but it is not looking like the Midwest is going to get too much rain, at least at this time, unless this tropical system does go up there and strike the Midwest. Alright, well, thank you for asking, Hyperfire. Now we will be going back to the hurricane. So, here's something I find interesting. Let's go to the NHC forecast cone. I'm just going to have the cone up. I'm not going to have the intensities, because I'm going to have the forecast models here. And this is, I guess, some very good news for Puerto Rico, Haiti, and Cuba, and the Dominican Republic. Most models are not showing a direct landfall like the NHC cone is. So that is a very good... That's very good news, that none of these models are really showing that for them. So that's just extremely good news in my opinion, for them. And then Florida, unfortunately, that may mean that you're really under the gun from this Category 5 hurricane. Once again, winds of over 180 miles per hour. Then, I think this wouldn't be helpful, as if this storm also tracked towards Florida. I don't expect that to happen. Now, I do want to talk a little bit more about Hurricane Irma here. Irma is really getting to the point where it's getting so strong that it's starting to create its own atmosphere. Now, why is that bad? Well, it's already got the favorable conditions it needs, but... Wind shear. Wind shear is something that can rip these storms apart. It gives us hope that these storms could weaken, right? Well, this is not going to get any wind shear because it's creating its own atmosphere. And that means that it's going to block off all wind shear, and it's not going to get any anymore. So no more wind shear for Hurricane Irma. At least for quite a while, unless it does weaken from Florida, goes into the Gulf, and then there's lots of wind shear there, which you can expect to move out by then. This system here getting sheared a lot from the Gulf, but this system does not seem like it is minding that too much. It's still got that big burst of convection that you do need for tropical storms to form. But yeah, this hurricane of this caliber, this also surprised me. I did not expect this to get this intense. But but it's almost gonna, I'm worried it's gonna hit 190 miles an hour. And if it does that, that would mean it is the most intense hurricane that the Atlantic Ocean has ever seen. And it would hit the Leeward Islands with it, meaning that it would rival Haiyan in strongest landfall intensity. It would still not quite be there, but it would get pretty darn close. I'm still just checking because the NHC advisory, the new advisory regarding Hurricane Irma, will be coming out here within the next hour or two, I would expect. We'll just have to see what happens there. I'm trying to remind myself what times they actually do this stuff. And, yeah, there we go. There we go. So I'm looking at this, and the advisories, it looks like they're doing rapid advisories stuff. Here, oh, there we go. The NHC now declaring that system in the Gulf is Tropical Depression 13. Now, here's some really good news. Here's some really, really good news. If I, take a look at TD13, here's TD13 right now. And if we enable the NHC forecast cone for it in the forecast models, well, I guess it's not. It's only doing it for Irma. But here, I'll just show you. This is expected to go down and do this. This is not going to be affecting Texas much. I was very confused with the track of this thing, but it's not looking like it's going to be that much of an impact towards Texas. But there we are. So back to the main topic of this. This is Hurricane Irma, which is it's just not good. This is just it's awful. I'm still pretty shook by the intensity of this hurricane, and I'm sorry I could not make something earlier today when it was classified as a Category 5. I do have school as a part of my life, and that was why I was not really able to make this earlier. Here we are. Let's just talk about Jose real quick. Jose gaining strength as it does go along. This is still a relatively weak tropical storm, but it is headed up towards where Irma was. Now, this is some bad news, but also good news, because Irma's sea surface temperatures are very low, and that means, well, Irma's sea surface temperatures are incredibly high, but Irma's going to cause something called upwelling, which means that the sea surface temperatures are going to get lower. And with these sea surface temperatures getting lower, that's going to mean that Jose is not going to be able to intensify quite as much. Yeah, so that's good. And here we are just continuing to watch these storms as they do move along. Severe weather getting caused there. But yeah, this incredibly intense hurricane is just not wanting to stop. It's going to keep on going. And here's something that we can do. We can see the wind radius of the storm right now. And there we go. I got it to load in. And if I can shut off the stuff real quick, here is the stuff. So here's what we're seeing. We're already seeing the Leeward Islands starting to get tropical storm force winds, and that's a bad thing, and they're going to continue to see those move in. Then we're seeing those hurricane force winds, not quite there yet in that major hurricane force wind field, getting very large, worryingly large, so that's just a huge problem for the Leeward Islands. Hopefully, this does somehow rapidly weaken, but I'm not seeing that as being much of a realistic possibility. Here is the new recon plane that's going to be flying in there. You can see that recon data there. But yeah, so we do have that recon data coming in here shortly, so we can continue to see just how intense Hurricane Irma is getting. So now that we know really just the intensity of Irma already, all kinds of planes are flying in there. I mean, this is the strongest hurricane that we've seen in for freaking ever in the Atlantic Ocean. It's been forever since we've had something of this caliber, and it's surprising to me that we've waited so long. But I'm also surprised that it got this intense. This is just very intense, and that's a problem, because when you have these intense storms, they like to continue to intensify. And when you see these storms continue to intensify, it's just they're going to get stronger and stronger and stronger, exponentially stronger, to the point that they're just these amazingly intense storms like the one we have now. And that's just, it's not good when you have a storm like this. So I guess the question is, will this be that storm that breaks the record that, well, I guess could be broken? I mean, it's not something that you could say is outside of the realm of possibility, is it? I mean, I don't think so. I think that it's not completely out of the question for this to become the 190 mile an hour storm that us meteorologists have been thinking could occur in the Atlantic. Theoretically, it's just something that there's a very low chance of, but it looks like that this could be that storm, as it literally is looking much more intense than it was when I started this stream. Here we are with the new mission into Irma, already getting strong tropical storm force winds just outside of this. And here we are now with some new information. Those Category 5 force winds, now the pressure down to 920 millibars. So this is still a rapidly strengthening hurricane. 920 millibars. That's crazy. And I'm thinking that those Category 5 winds have gotten stronger. I think that after this flight and after all these drop signs, I think we're going to have the first 190. I think we're going to have a 190 mile an hour system here. And here's something else. They're constantly having recon in there, which is excellent for us meteorologists. Because, well, it gives us all this data that we're able to use and forecast with. Okay, Hyperfire asking, just a question, has a hurricane ever traveled over to the Pacific? That is an interesting question. Hurricanes have traveled over to the Pacific. I don't have a name in particular. I'm trying to think if Oho did it last year. I don't think that Hurricane Oho did manage to do that last year. Maybe it did. Maybe I was wrong, but I don't think it did. I can take a look at that for you, though, Hyperfire. So I'll try and find a hurricane for you that did go into the Pacific. So yeah, here I'm still continuing to look at that. Yeah, it looks like Oho almost made it. Here we are now with, here's one. So here, I have a whole list for you. Hurricane John/Miriam of 1988 did become a hurricane that went over from the Atlantic to the Pacific. Caesar and Douglas also did. Hurricane Irene and Olivia. Hurricane Debbie. Here, Google actually has, well, Wikipedia does have a really good article on this, and I know Wikipedia doesn't seem like a very reliable source, but these all do look pretty true to me. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try and post a link in chat for you there, Hyperfire. There you go. So now you can see the link to that. Alright, now back to Hurricane Irma. Hurricane Irma is, well, like I've said, an extremely intense Category 5 hurricane. And the hurricane is continuing to look like it's going to head up and hit Miami, Florida. Now, the hurricane is continuing to just come along and intensify. So if this does continue intensification and continue to be faster than what we've initially been thinking, this could become a catastrophic hurricane. Here we are now refreshing the satellite imagery. There we are now with a different satellite filter. But there you are with Irma, still a very symmetric looking hurricane, and just about to it's about to slam into the leeward. Okay, so Hurricane Irma is still just looking nasty. It's this Category 5 hurricane. Now, I guess what we could do, I'm going to see if I can find this and compare it for you. I think that I can compare this hurricane to Katrina, because Katrina was also something that was pretty bad. So here we are. I think I can find Katrina, so we can compare the two. There you go. So I'm trying to go there as much as I can. Here I'm looking for it. There we go. So trying to see if I can actually find it. And there we go. I think I have found it. Yeah, there we go. So I did find it. There you are. So here's Hurricane Katrina for you. As it did head down, you can see that's kind of what you can see on the lower part of your screen. You can see now the eye of the storm as it does head up and through. And you can see, I'll actually try and pull up for you a better image of Hurricane Katrina. But if you compare the two, they do look very similar. But yeah, I'm trying to see if I can find a good image of the two side by side. Finding lots of Irma and Harvey, which are looking pretty bad. So yeah, I'm guessing I can't really find a side by side comparison in a very timely manner. Either way, they're both very intense. And it's just well, I guess I looked up a few pictures. Yeah, this does look like Katrina at her peak. So here I'm gonna go over and try and find you a picture of Hurricane Katrina. But Hurricane Irma is it's beautiful, but it's terrifying. It's literally a freaking beautiful storm. It's just terrifying. I mean, if this were out to sea, I'd be much happier, because the storm looks very good. But unfortunately, we can't all get what we want, so this is not going to be staying out. But here we are. Here's kind of a, if I can get it to work, a side by side for you. There you are with the side by side comparison of Katrina versus Hurricane Irma. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to go back. I'm going to try and get this to have visible, maybe, possibly. I don't think I'm going to be able to find it, but there you are. There it is, folks. There are the two side by side. And you can see there that Hurricane Katrina also has that well-defined eye, and also is just this very intense hurricane, except for it was in the Gulf of Mexico. This is in the wide waters of the Atlantic, although it is really starting to bear down on those leeward islands, which is a very, very bad thing. And excuse me, it's something that you don't want to see. But yeah, I'm looking here at satellite images, and Irma's, oh my goodness, holy smokes. I'm gonna try and find you some satellite imagery of Hurricane Irma, because I think that I'm gonna be able to find it. But yeah, Irma's a very weird storm. I'll be making a Hurricane Irma recap. There we go. Oh yeah, there's Irma. You can see that well-defined eye. It's getting smaller. Which could be a problem. Here we are. I'm looking at Go 16 right now. And just looking at it. It looks like the sun has officially gone down there. So, yeah, visible isn't going to be a very good resource anymore regarding Hurricane Irma. But yeah, so Hurricane Irma is just, it's a beautiful hurricane. And I just wish that it wasn't going to strike the area that it's going to strike. There we are with major Hurricane Irma. Yeah, the hurricane is nuts. Yeah, here we are with yeah, here's some beautiful visible imagery of Hurricane Irma. There you are with some visible imagery. So this is the visible imagery as the sun is going down, but you can see that well-defined eye, and you can see the storm as it is continuing to move along. The storm, it literally is a beautiful storm. It looks just beautiful, at least to me. Although that's probably a part of my meteorology passion kicking in there. All right, well, we got about 20 minutes or so left of this, so. You know, if you have any questions or comments, just let me know, and I will be more than glad to answer those. But for those of you that are watching, let's go over just a general overview of what exactly is going on with Hurricane Irma. So, there we are. Here's Irma, currently a Category 5 hurricane on the Saffir-Simpson hurricane wind scale. Winds of over 180 miles per hour, 183 to be exact, according to this software. NHC officially giving it 185. Here's the system as it is continuing to move up, and is expected to probably strike Florida at some point. Here are the forecast models compared to that cone, and then we can take a look at the official forecasted track for Hurricane Irma. So let's just go over this little by little. So Irma is going to start, here it is, a Category 5. They're expecting it to weaken here over the next 12 hours or so. I would not be guaranteeing that at all. Honestly, I would just be on the lookout, because I'm not exactly sure if Hurricane Irma is going to be something that you will be able to see. Wait, what am I saying? That's not what I meant. You'll be able to see Irma just fine, but it's something that you may not be able to see coming. Because it's moving so fast, and people don't believe it. But I don't think that we saw this part of Irma coming. I don't think we saw this massive Category 5 hurricane headed up, and possibly now hitting Florida. So yeah, it's just a very dangerous situation. And Florida's already declared a state of emergency, so is Puerto Rico. I think rightfully so for Puerto Rico. I'm not sure if Florida needs to be panicking just yet, although they are probably going to get pretty battered by this. So yeah, I guess now is the time. So here's basically what I'm just going to say right now. This is going to be a blanket statement. If you are in the Leeward Islands, it is too late to prepare. Hunker down, get ready for Hurricane Irma. If you are in Puerto Rico, once again, too late. Hunker down and prepare for Hurricane Irma. If you're in the Dominican Republic and Haiti, too late. Just hunker down, get prepared. You got about 3 days. If you're in Cuba or Florida, evacuate if you can. Cuba, I just suggest hunkers down because the entire country is probably going to get hit. But if you are in Florida, I would suggest just maybe driving up, maybe out of state a little bit. You know, if you are in the path of this, just get to northern Florida. If the entire state is expected to get impacted, I think that everyone should just move up to Georgia and Alabama. Preferably Alabama, though, because Georgia could also get hit by the hurricane. But yeah, that's just what I suggest right now when it comes to evacuations. But yeah, this very intense storm is what we're expecting to come and get here. Hyperfire saying 75 subs. Congrats. Well, thank you, Hyperfire. Hopefully by the end of this month I'll be at 100. We'll just have to see what does happen. Because, well, I'm liking the growth I'm getting out of these tropical updates. And I'm glad that I'm able to serve this many people. It does make me happy that I'm able to do this for people and that people are enjoying it and people are wanting to watch it. But yeah, thank you so much for the congratulations, Hyperfire. That horror outro you made is looking really good. Getting into just more about Irma, I don't think that Haiti and Puerto Rico or Cuba are going to get a direct landfall. I don't. I think that the Bahamas could, and I think that Florida could. And I also think that this could, it's not a certainty at all, but could go up the eastern seaboard. We'll just have to see. I'm going to get a quick update here on recon flight information and recon flight data. So we'll just have to see where that's at. So, old mission about to make another pass through. Intensifying Hurricane Irma. And I'm thinking that if we continue to see this deep, and I'm sorry that I gotta say this, but I think we're gonna be seeing the strongest hurricane in wind speeds ever in the Atlantic Ocean, to top Irma, to top Katrina, to top Camille, to top all famous hurricanes, all named hurricanes that we know in the Atlantic Ocean. This is an intense sucker. This is not something you want to be messing around with, and this is a very, very, very dangerous situation. So, this intensifying hurricane, if you're in the leewards, like I said, prepare. You know, I mean, it's really too late. If you can, if you've got a store near you, I guess this is what everyone should do, because you may be stuck for up to a week or two. So here's what I'd say. Get 1 gallon of water per person per day for 14 days if you want to stay. Get 3 cans of food per person per day for 14 days if you're also wanting to stay anywhere else. There you are with your food and water, and yeah, and then also just be sure to find a place that you can use the bathroom. I mean, you know, it's not something that people think about, but that is something that's a kind of a pain in the butt to find if you gotten hit by a hurricane. So that's just if you don't have a toilet or something, just have a spare place to use the bathroom. So yeah, that's how that's gonna go. But yeah, Hurricane Irma still a rapid intensifier, very rapid intensifier, and it's just it's about to hit. Yeah, Hyperfire is correct. A date to remember, the day Irma hit land. That could be tonight, that could be tomorrow, so it depends. Either September 5th or September 6th, 2017. That's going to be the day that Irma makes its first landfall. But the first landfall is not always the most notable. Take Katrina, for example. The day it hit Miami was not the most notable day on Katrina. The most notable day was obviously when it did hit New Orleans as a Category 3 hurricane. because that was just devastating. Now, I'm going to pull up the European weather model for you, which is the most reliable weather model here, because I feel that it is important to show what the best of the best thinks for you guys. So here's Irma, underestimating the intensity. Still even probably here underestimating it a little bit. But there you go. Irma's a little bit more clear now. Let's just go to the rain. So this will make it very clear where Irma is. And you can see the rotation. But here, let's just talk about where this tracks, because the intensity is obviously not being estimated properly. So here's Irma as it continues to move along. Here, just a second. I need to go into my settings and enable low bandwidth mode, because, well, yeah, the Wi-Fi here isn't too great. It's good enough, though. And you can see here Irma continuing up as it does head up this location. Here it is now, the ECMWF showing a direct landfall on now Cuba. It shows a Cuban landfall. That is surprising to me. That's very surprising to me. And it shows it over Cuba for frickin' ever. And then it shows it heading up. Wow. Is this gonna pull a Charlie? Is the Euro... Oh my goodness. The European is saying that this is gonna pull a Charlie. How many of us believe that? I don't. I don't think this is pulling a Charlie. Not even for a second. But still, this is what the best of the best think. And you know, the Euro has been right multiple times when we've doubted it. So, it's still something that you want to keep in mind. Yeah, there you go. What the Euro thinks right here for you. So you can see what exactly it looks like the European is going to be thinking. Okay, so we got about 10 more minutes of this until I will be signing off. But just more info on the storm, I guess, is what I'll be giving you. Irma is it's looking bad. It's looking really, really bad. And the new NHC advisory, I'm worried, is going to be coming out with some new information that people are not going to be liking. I'm thinking that we're going to be seeing a 190, maybe even 195 mile an hour Category 5 hurricane. Hi, Vape Sig, how you doing? He says hi there. This live stream, unfortunately, it looks like it will be ending shortly here within the next 10 minutes or so. I may go live again later tonight, but yeah, if you do have any questions or anything, please ask them now. There's not much time left, but here you are, Vape Sig, with the latest information on Hurricane Irma. Hurricane Irma is currently a Category 5 hurricane with winds of 185 miles per hour. The storm is expected, according to the National Hurricane Center, to go north of the Leeward Islands, but still causing major impacts there. You can see just how big the eye is and just how powerful the storm looks. Then it's still expected to be a Category 5 with winds of 178 miles per hour. Here is a question from Vape Sig, but here I'm just going to finish this up real quick. And then they're just expecting it to weaken gradually over time, and it could hit Florida and stuff. So, Vape Sig asks, why are the models looking so much different? Here we are, I'm just going to show them here. I guess the answer is that just as time goes on, these models change, they shift. These models are so different because, the trough did not go exactly as expected. It's tilted in a more positive than negative direction, I think. Don't quote me on that. I'm not that great with trough terminology. But the trough is not tilted in the same way that we thought it was, I don't think. And we also got these upper level lows over here, as well as this high. And we have Jose. All of these factors, as well as this tropical depression, which was not really expected to develop for a while, that are all causing these models to change, because all these factors are changing. And so these models are going to continue to change, and we're going to continue to see, unfortunately, what could be some very dangerous conditions here for like Florida and stuff. So here's I guess what the general premise of this is. Here's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping that it will turn out to sea. It's not looking like it's a huge possibility, but the possibility is not out of the question. Then, over here, let's just talk about this tropical depression, because I know that you live in Houston, Vape Sig. At least I think that's what you said yesterday. And so here's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing this tropical depression, at least according to the NHC, is not, I repeat, is not going to be affecting your area. This disturbance does not look like it will be affecting your area. It looks like it's going to take a turn into Mexico, which is fortunate for you. I think you're still getting a little bit of rain right now. Don't quote me on that. From just some storms. Let me check that real quick. Let's see what the National Radar says. Yeah, unfortunately, it does look like you may have a little bit of rain headed your way, which is really bad right now. And then Hyperfire does say, pray for Miami and Houston. I do agree with that. Hyperfire, yeah, that is something that will be happening. Live streaming likely to happen tomorrow as well. But yeah, this storm is just, it's going to be a catastrophe. More updates will be coming, more tropical updates will be coming on this tonight. Probably later tonight, maybe even another live stream. But yeah, this will be ending in about 5 minutes or so. Alright. And then Vape Sig saying, but why won't that why won't that tropical depression in the Gulf push Irma away? Alright, and yes, he is verifying that he does live in Houston. Oh yeah, it says it right there, Vapor Store Houston. I'm sorry, that I didn't see that. Okay, so, here's Irma right here. So why won't this tropical depression push it away? Well, number one, it's a little small, and its influence on the atmosphere is not that great right now, and it doesn't have much steering itself, which therefore means that it does not have much influence on anything else. It is a low-pressure system, which does give the Gulf a little bit less resistance, which may actually bring Irma a little bit closer into the Gulf if the tropical depression is still there by then. But also on the 5-day outlook, it's not expected to really move very much. It's expected to really move into Mexico while Irma's here. So really it would be more that Irma would affect the depression steering than the depression affect Irma's steering. So that's really where we're at right now. Alrighty, well, thank you all so much for watching, because, well, it's really time for this stream to end. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you did like this stream. If you did, hit the like button down below. If you didn't, hit the dislike button. And I hope to see you in the next one. Bye-bye! Alrighty. So we still got that Cat 5 in the Atlantic. And still have that, yeah, system out there. Yeah, alright.